Hey, peace and love, family. Got a lot of people asking me, what is status correction? So, I want to come on and really address that by, first off, I'm going to show everyone, we're looking at the legal definition of status. I'm going to go in on that, and then I'm going to go in a little bit further on a few things, such as the birth certificate and a few other places in law pertaining to status, because we need to know what status is and what's going on before we can even get into what status correction is, because most people don't even know that they have a status. Their status is all over, pretty much like invisible lines, and people just not really knowing what's going on. This is the legal dictionary, or freedictionary.com. They have a legal section, and you can find this on other places too, but I just particularly like this one because it goes in a little bit more in detail than some of the other ones on what particular status is talking about, or particularly pertaining to this. It says the status or the standing state or condition of an individual, rights, the rights, obligations, capacities, and incapacities that assign an individual to a given class. That's pretty basic. You could probably find that same one or something real similar in Black's Law Dictionary. And most people that know by researching and whatnot, they know what Black's Law Dictionary is, so I don't want to go in on that. I'm going to just keep going. For example, the term status is used in reference to the legal state of an infant, a ward, or a prisoner, as well as in reference to a person's social standing in the community. Now, this is really the most important part, because the status that most people are in right now is that of an infant or a ward, and a prisoner is just the next step in those. So, what puts you into this status? And I'm gonna show you that document. It's called the birth certificate. It's probably one of the first documents you got when you were born. Your mama signed. Now, to all the family that know exactly what this is, they're looking at, this is not just the birth certificate, but this is the authenticated birth certificate. Basically, when you send your birth certificate in for authentication, they attach these other two certificates to the front. This is one from the state of Texas, issued agent, and they give you a certificate number. I blanked all of mine off, so no one doesn't get any of my personal information, but this is just what it looks like. And then when you send it into DC, same thing, there's an authentication number at the top that I've taken off, and it goes into a few things, especially laws going in on it. But this birth certificate here, this is the one that really determines the status from the beginning. And if you haven't done anything to change, alter, how do they say it out here, amend it, there's an actual form to amend the birth certificate in Texas. I don't know if other people have that form as well, but it's definitely something you should look into. And it all has to do with status correction. Let's get into it. This one is just particularly showing that the birth certificate itself, or certificate of live birth, is on banknote paper. This is a bond document. It's not the bond itself, it's a bond document, but there's a bond attached to it. And if anybody wants to challenge me on that one there, I have all the evidence for that, and it's real easy to look up. It's in the USC codes. They talk specifically about what a bond document is, and that description is better than any other one that I've ever seen. A lot of people like to use warehouse receipt and things like that from the UCCs, but a bond document is probably the best description for it, because it's a document that's connected to a bond, but not the actual bond itself. That would constitute a bond document. Similar to an insurance policy. When you originally get your insurance policy, it's a whole packet. It's everything that you fill out that goes along with it. But let's say you can't find it, you have to call to the insurance company to get a certificate of insurance. They're just going to send you a one-page document saying that you're insured, and this one-page document is similar to what we get when we order off for a birth certificate. You know, there was a whole application and more things from the hospital and probably even some financial things, because I don't know anyone that's actually got the full copy of that birth certificate, or not the full copy, what I should say is the original. And I've heard that some of them have value on them and some don't. We'll get into that a little bit later. All right. Now, this is from Black Star Dictionary as well. Capitis deminutio. I spoke on this before, but maybe because of the title, it's not really getting the amount of views for people looking for what it is they're looking for when it comes to the answers and status correction. Now, this is a legal phrase, but it's from Roman law. Capitis deminutio, meaning the diminishing of status through the use of capitalization. In Roman law, a diminishing or abridgment of personality, loss or curtailment of man's status, or aggregated of legal attributes and qualifications. Let me zoom in on this a little bit. I can't see like I used to. Now, these are three different statuses in Roman law, but it's still used today in law that we use now. This first one, Capitis deminutio maxima, meaning the maximum loss of status through capitalization. Example, John Doe or Doe John, excuse me. And they're both spelled in all capital letters. This is usually how your name is on the birth certificate. So it's the highest or most comprehensive loss of status. The highest or most comprehensive loss or status, just by capitalizing your name, all capital letters. This occurred when a man's condition was changed from one of freedom to one of bondage, when he became a slave. So, in all caps, name is the status of a slave. It's swept away with all rights of citizenship and family rights. That sounds like you're in jail in a modern term sense. I'm just saying. Now, I'm gonna jump down to the third one. Is Capitis deminutio minima. Excuse me. The minimum loss of status through the use of capitalization, and then you see John Doe written in standard grammar, or what they may call the Christian appellation. It's the lowest or least comprehensive loss of status. So this one is the lowest or least comprehensive loss of status. Let's go on to see what that means. This occurs when a man's family relations alone or changed. Now, a man's family relations can change in two ways. Getting married, which that wouldn't really change very much. And the other one I know is changing his nationality, declaring your nationality. Let me see. Now see, it says, let's go on. It happens upon the arrogation of a person who had been his own master, sui juris. Sorry, my eyes kind of bad. Of his own right and not under legal disability, or upon emancipation of one who has been under, I don't want to butcher this word in Latin, so I'm going to just skip it and say parental authority, what they have parentheses after it, which is what it means. Parenta potestas. I don't know. Anybody that speaks Latin better than me, let me know. It left the rights of liberty and citizenship unaltered. This is Capitis deminutio minima. So your rights of liberty and citizenship are unaltered when your name is in the standard grammar. This is a person that sui juris, or emancipated from parental authority. Now, to emancipate from parental authority is something you have to do paperwork to. That's almost the equivalent of declaring your nationality, but I'll say better, it's more declaring yourself the age of majority. So that's part of status. Because, excuse me, got it zoomed in. Let's go back to the definition of status. Hold on. Sorry, I forgot it's on the internet. Okay. Reference to legal state of being an infant, a ward, or a prisoner. Any of that sound familiar? I mean, I think they did just talk about parental authority, emancipation. I want to go back one time before because I looked up another version of status, and it was really interesting. It's actually the status quo definition. Let's get into that. Okay. Now, this is Legal Dictionary or freedictionary.com, under their legal dictionary section. You can go in and, also find, the stuff at the source. They got medical, all kind of the places where you can look for the exact same words to see does it have different definitions. Now, going real close on, quick on this one. Status quo in antebellum, meaning the state of things before war. Antebellum means the state of things before war. So antebellum slavery was the state or the status quo of slavery, of slavery pre the war, the Civil War. Now, the status quo to be preserved by a preliminary injunction. Sound familiar, people? Preliminary injunction. Status quo is to be preserved by a preliminary injunction is the last actual peaceable, uncontested status which precedes the pending controversy. So what is the pending controversy? I would say the pending controversy would be the status being diminished at the maximum level, and being treated as such. So this says here a preliminary injunction. It'll take you back to the last peaceable, uncontested status which preceded the pending controversy. So you can get an injunction, basically, is what they're saying, that will, or you can file an injunction, a preliminary injunction, to put you at the last actual peaceable and uncontested status. Just a thought. Now, let's move on, because we're going in on status correction. I want to really drive this in on people. Okay, person. This is Black's Law Dictionary. I'm sure that I don't have a page number on this one. It's just a screenshot, but I can find it, or anybody, you can look this up. Just person, Black's Law Dictionary, it'll pop up. You can get you a PDF version like I have, or you can actually read it offline. The online is the second edition, though, I believe. This is a fourth. Person are of two kinds, natural and artificial. A natural person is a human being. An artificial person includes a collection or succession of natural persons, persons forming a corporation. I thought I saw it wrong. A collection of property to which the law attributes the capacity of having rights and duties. The latter case of the artificial person is recognized only to a limited extent in our law. Examples are the estate of a bankrupt or deceased person. A bankrupt or deceased person. That's really interesting, but I'm going to keep going a little bit further into this highlighted part down here. A country is a person in a legal sense. Now, that's really interesting. Because a country is a legal person. But, yeah, legal persons and artificial persons. Now, I'm not sure if I have it in here, but the all caps name is the straw man. Most people already know that. That's not, really deep going anything. Just like the country is a person. So we have to remember this when we're going into status correction, getting out of this war slavery status. That there are two types of people. Those are two different classes. Now, this is really interesting. I want to say this is Wikipedia's website. When I looked into expatriation, this was probably the sentence that stood out the most. Like, this really showed what happened. Because as we saw in the previous definition, and I think it's in my next slide too, the Emancipation Proclamation is what supposedly freed the slaves. It would have brought them out of that slave status to the emancipated sui juris status, supposedly. But there was some trickery that went along. See, emancipation doesn't necessarily mean freeing oneself. It means to transfer property, and I'm gonna show that next. But I want to read this real quick. The Expatriation Act came into law one day before the 14th Amendment. It was introduced, which introduced the principle of birthright citizenship into the Constitution. So before the 14th Amendment, there was no birthright citizenship into this country. You had to be naturalized, or you had to be a free white person. Just you had to be a free white person, or you had to be naturalized. But they introduced birthright citizenship into the Constitution. They had to do this. Now, man, the thing is, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Now, if they wanted people to come over here and just get citizenship, the Europeans, they had to come over here and be naturalized. They couldn't just be born over here and get citizenship. Now, the difference of what was going on then and what's going on now. See, right now, anywhere, I want to say on the American continent, but I may be wrong. But anywhere in America, they've passed similar laws. So any one of them can come over here, have kids, and their kids who are born here are citizens. The thing is, they don't have the right to exclude anyone from citizenship over here. I don't know if y'all heard that. They don't have the right to exclude anyone from citizenship, because if they did, they would have to get on. The Aboriginal, indigenous people that were born here are really the only descendants of the land. So if they did anything or, overstay, their stay, we can file on them. The thing is, we have to all get our statuses right, because what they're doing is under color of law. So it looks like it's legitimate. That's how they're getting away with it. Through this paperwork, they're beating us up with paperwork. So the Expatriation Act came into law a day before the 14th Amendment. Why is this important? Because the 14th Amendment is what basically put everybody into the straw man status. What they did was they made a decision. to enslave everyone. They're saying either we're going to enslave these so-called blacks, Africans that were our slaves, but we can't do that no more. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have to enslave everyone. They enslave their own people. And only the people that know the remedy to expatriation to get out of that status. Because the status that they call a citizen is the ward. I want y'all to understand that. Excuse me. Their wardship status is a citizen. It's a corporation, a person. Not the natural person, the artificial person. Now, emancipate. This is from an etymology dictionary. If anyone wants to check it out, I can show y'all. It's not a law dictionary. I can't remember the name off the top, but I can show y'all a picture, bring it on camera. But it's just, I got everything packed up right now. I've just moved. But, okay. Emancipate, to set free. But that's not the real definition, because if you go a little bit further, to transfer property. Emancipate means to transfer property. So the Emancipation Proclamation was proclaiming to the slave masters that they were transferring ownership of the slaves to the state, basically taking it out of private hands. That sounds a lot like nationalization. Let's continue. Oh, I already went in on this one. Here's just a second copy of it. But yeah, the Expatriation Act came into law one day before the 14th Amendment. So if you don't want to be in the slave status, it sounds like you need to expatriate. That's part of correcting your status, because as we see, to emancipate, to transfer property, to transfer property. One who takes property in hand or receives it. Okay, now we're back. So let's get into this. Color of law. The appearance of a legal right. The appearance of a legal right. The act of a state officer, regardless of whether or not the act is within the limits of his or her authority, is considered an act under a color of law. If the officer purports to be conducting himself or herself in the course of official duties. Okay, so they're calling color of law basically when a state official officer does something officially or unofficially, within the limits of his authority, his or her authority. So whether or not the act is within the limit of his or her authorities is considered color of law. Now I'm gonna go into what color in law is too, because that's the second aspect besides the capitalization that really put the damper on the birth certificate. So, or excuse me, the damper on your status, not just the birth certificate. It's the color, because they say you're black, you're white. But in law, what is color? It's an appearance, a semblance, or semicircum, as distinguished from that which is real. As distinguished from that which is real, a prima facie or apparent right, hence a deceptive appearance. Hence a deceptive appearance, a plausible assumed exterior, concealing and lacking of reality, a disguise or pretext. Now we're talking about color now. So black, white, if that's on your birth certificate, it's concealing a lack of reality. it's as distinguished from that which is real. So it's fake. Black, white, we need nationality. Color, it's an appearance or semblance. It's not the actual thing. You can go in a little bit further. Get past the court cases. In pleading grounds of actions admitted to subsist in the opposite party by pleading of one of the parties to an action which is set out to be apparently valid, but which is in reality legally insufficient. I don't know if y'all heard that. Legally insufficient? This is color we're talking about. Okay. Deprivation of rights under color of law. Section 242 of Title 18 makes it a crime for a person acting under color of law to willfully deprive a person of a right or a privilege protected by the Constitution and laws of the United States. So is this what we need to be holding them to? Does this need to be in our preliminary injunction, maybe? Consider these things. People. We have to consider them. Now, solution. This is one of the solutions that we have. So a private affidavit, certificate of live birth, counter deed. See, the thing is, we're going in and we're attacking this birth certificate because when it comes to status correction, that's where your main legal status is derived from your birth certificate. You need to go get a driver's license to get your passport. You need to get a social security card. You need it for all kind of stuff. Whether you want to participate in these things or not, that's the reality of what they require. Don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you what they say. So, let's go in. Counter deed. I'm reading this on the second line of the main title. A secret writing either before a notary or under a private seal which destroys, invalidates, or alters a public one. And this is from Black's Law Dictionary, the free online dictionary, second edition. So, go back. A writing, a secret writing, either before a notary. So if it's before a notary, it's public. It's actually not secret. But that's another story. But before a notary or under a private seal which destroys or invalidates or alters a public one. So what we're trying to do is destroy, invalidate, or alter the birth certificate. We want to change the status on there and any other legal documents we may have. But this is the first one you have to attack because this is where everything went wrong initially. And if anybody wants to hit me up about this process of status correction, what the remedies are for all of these things, we can go into it. This here, I don't know if you can see it. There's a private seal on there, on this certificate of live birth counter deed. I also have my Declaration of Independent Administration, in which people that follow me, they know that's our document that we use to claim the birth certificate, for expatriation, claiming our nationality, and much, much more. It's all in one, all inclusive. Also a file stamp copy, as well as you can see that this authentication certificate from the U.S. is file stamped at the top, and you can see Chris Daniel, district clerk. Yeah, I was thinking county clerk, but no, he's the district clerk. That's what this is. But overall, people, status, let's go back to that, status and status correction. Status is your legal state. Are you a slave? Are you a ward? Or are you a minor? Are you an adult? And does your paperwork reflect that? This is part one of my status correction. The next one is going to be strictly answers. Peace and love, family.